Now we are ready to add unlockable doors into our game. We're going to start just by using this Kenny door asset that comes from the platformer kit, but I can't say I massively like it. The open animation has got the door kind of clipping through the frame a little bit, and more importantly, it's going to be really hard to animate the collision shape to go with this GLB file because it's an imported asset, and we want a door we can collide with. But this will be a good, just sort of first basic step to get us started, so I'm going to use this for now, and in the next video we're going to make our own door out of meshes. If we drag this GLB file into our game, you'll see, like most Kenny assets, it comes through quite small. It looks like a scale of about 3 will be a nice size for our player to fit under. But again, it won't matter massively at this point because we're going to swap out the door asset in the future anyway. So let's delete this door GLB and create a door scene. For this one, I'm just going to use a normal 3D scene node and call it door, because inside it we want to have a static body and an area 3D. So call that door, save it as door.tscene. I'll just add the GLB file for now rather than set up our entire static body, so I will change it to a scale of 3. Then I'm going to add my area 3D and rename it proximity. And inside it I'm going to have my collision shape, which is going to be a sphere. It'll just be big enough for our player to be considered in proximity of the door. And then I'm going to add a label 3D as well to my door. Label 3D. And just like with the chest, it's going to start with a text of locked. I'm going to change the color, modulate to red. I'm going to drag it somewhere where I can see it, just in front of the door. And for this one, you might not really care about turning on this billboard flag, because it's okay if it just faces forwards out of the door. Stick it back a little bit. There we go. It's going to be our text that says either locked or E to open. And now the script for this is going to look almost exactly the same as the script for the chest. So I'll click on my door, I'll add a script, door.gd, and then I'm going to go to the proximity area 3D and add 2 signals, one for body entered, add it to the door script, one for body exited, add it to the door script. I don't need these 2 functions. I do need a reference to my label 3D, drag that in there, and to the door's animation, which I can get by giving this editable children and dragging that in there as well. And now I can copy most of the code for body entered and body exited from the chest script. So I'll click on chest script. I'm going to want a variable called isOpen. Copy that, isOpen. I'm going to want to do this almost exactly as it is when the player enters the door. So I'm checking it's in group playable, it's a character body 3D, and the door is not open. And if I've got some keys, I'll change the color, I'll change the text, and I'll make the target this door. Otherwise, I'll change the text, I'll set the text to locked, and we'll show that label. Now, when it comes to body exited, again, this code's going to be exactly the same. I'm going to paste it into the proximity body entered function, and if my player is a character body 3D, I'll hide that label and I'll delete the door target from the player. Now this is all set up so that our player will already have target set to the door, and when I hit the E key, it will run an open function on our door. In fact, that's going to be the only function that's very slightly different from our chest, because we don't need to add to the score and so on. I'm going to still grab it from the chest script. I'm going to go open and copy that into my door script. IsOpen should still be true, the label should still be hidden. I still want to subtract a key from my body and then hide the key icon for the subtracted key. I don't need to add to the score, and I don't need to update the score text, so they can go. I do want to play the open animation on the door, and I don't need to make any particles start moving, so I can delete those lines which handily were shown in red to me anyway. And that should be our door. Now we just add a door tscene into our main scene. Go down to door.tscene. We're getting a lot of things in this game now. Here's our door, it says locked. and let's see what happens if I try to go through it as my player. Now I should have started that text hidden, that's one small fix, but now if I grab a key, it should say E to open. I click E to open and the door opens. So let's fix that one little problem there. Go to the door and start Label 3D hidden. That's our basic door done.